Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, and it is a privilege today to have Hector Anchondo with us. Hector's a great guitar player, really cool blues artist, and he's a guy that I probably came across about 2 years ago, and I wanted to have him on my show. I didn't know how to connect with him, and, the forces of nature, and Melissa Curate, I always pronounce her last name, Cusack. I want to thank you for hooking us up. That was the force of nature. Thanks, Melissa. Just a quick announcement. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/subscribe to subscribe to the audio and the video. If you're already watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button as well as the icon that looks like a bell. Thank you. I appreciate that. All righty. Quickly about Hector. Earlier this year, he won the International Blues Challenge in the solo duo category, in addition to taking home the Memphis Cigar Box Guitar Award for Best Guitarist. Prior to COVID, this was literally scheduled to be his breakout year. He had more things going on than he knew what to do with. Thankfully, they are all rescheduled for next year, so you could look forward to seeing Hector on the road. He has 3 albums. The latest one, Roll the Dice, man, it is outstanding. There's a ton of great blues on here. But more important than blues is just a lot. He's a really good songwriter, man. He doesn't just write 1, 4, 5 progressions. He's a really good songwriter. Tasty playing and great riffs. The album Roll the Dice initially spent 24 weeks on the Roots Music Report. His first 2 albums are called Young Guns and Kicking Up Dust. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Man, they say 3 times the charm. Did you think that there was anything different about your performance in this year's International Blues Challenge? Because I know it was your 3rd time. And how did you feel once you were announced as winner?
I was in a bit of shock. It wasn't,
Awesome.
It's definitely something I didn't expect, because I was, I mean, you think about, like, oh, that'd be cool to win, or at least I did. I'm like, man, that'd be sweet. But
yeah,
I wanted to go there and network and mingle and try to get a few new gigs, for that
sure.
following year. And then I ended up, to my surprise, ended up winning. I wasn't even backstage when they announced, and so I had to embarrassingly, try to get a shuffle up there as fast as I could.
That's really cool. You must have felt good afterwards, though. I mean, that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, it did feel really good. It all felt surreal. I felt like, I hope I am not dreaming, because, I've been doing this for so long, and I was like, whoa, I I finally got a big break, I was like, wow, because it's my 24th year of playing. And
dude, what did you start when you were 6?
When I was 16.
Oh man, you're so young looking. Wow, that's awesome. That's what we should be focusing on, man, because there's a lot of my audience is all baby boomers, man. We all need to find out what you're taking, man. What's the secret recipe to look so young? Because you don't, you look 10 years younger, man. Good for you.
Thanks, man.
Well, congratulations on winning. That's a really nice thing for you to do, and it's well deserved. You had said that there was a quote you said after you won: "Winning this feels like reward for having stuck with music for 24 years. I had flashbacks of all the journeys, sleeping on floors, years of sleeping in the van, overnight drives, no pay, credit card debt for the cause, broken down vans. The list goes on." With that as a backdrop, I'd love to get into your story. How did you first get started in the music business, and what was your first break?
Oh, I first got started, like I was saying, when I was 16, I started playing, but I'd been in music classes and stuff through school, and I just, within a year of playing, I started, performing. Well, I mean, I think even before that, I just started performing for friends, and just loved it, and I started, playing in the neighboring town, playing the coffee shop venue down, it was about 20 miles away, bigger town, and then it never stopped.
That's unusual that you start playing that early after you started playing the instrument. And from interviewing so many people, it seems like that was probably a huge benefit to you, unknowing at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I started performing. I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know. I didn't think about it as a sink or swim thing.
Right.
I would think I was just more anxious to get to, I was like, I'm ready for this. I want to go do it.
Were you self-taught, or did you take lessons or study with anybody?
I'm mostly self-taught, but I did take lessons for a little while in the very beginning.
Mm.
Um, and then he was a cool instructor, and he's the one that turned me on to blues, because he said he wouldn't teach me anything else until I learned the blues.
Ah.
Because he's like, that's where rock music came from. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get on top of this blues thing, and uh, then that's when I really fell in love with playing blues, and getting into the different artists.
What did you like? Where did it? What about it hooked you?
I think, um, well, the sound, of course, the sound to me of blues is just riddled with imagery. Uh,
Yes.
I think that's one of the things I like that I was drawn to it. Besides, the fact that I think it sounds beautiful. But just like real powerful images, just were coming to mind while I would, as I was listening to it, as I would learn to play. And and then the other thing I really love about blues is um oh how I can't think of the word. Words are hard right now. Expressive it
Yeah.
is. Blues is one of those. I mean, somebody could say this about any genre, but I feel like blues is one of the best where you can. It becomes even better the more of you and your personality that you put into it and express yourself freely with it. The better it sounds, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm a blues guy, and the depth of emotion that you can feel and express as a player is pretty amazing, man.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so you were living in Omaha at the time?
Well, yeah, yes. Well, actually, I was living on the other side of the river in Council Bluffs.
Okay,
But
in Missouri.
it's all like one big. Well, this. Oh yes, sorry, I got my brain jumped.
No, it's all
Yes,
good.
during this time frame, I grew up in Missouri and was living in the town I'm in right now. I'm in Salem, Missouri, right at this moment, and this is where it all began.
Okay, so you were in, and then apparently I read that you moved to Chicago to like really have an immersive lesson in the blues. Is that accurate?
It is, because I played kind of the first 10 years of my career, where I was really gigging and playing professionally. I'd say that 10 years there, I was, it was more like a fusion kind of because I'd play blues lead over it, you know, but it was more like it was kind of like a rock and like a little bit of a reggae thing, a little bit of lots of stuff, and so I got to the point in my career where I just I wanted to keep going as an artist, and I wanted something, you know, I just I I felt like, well, there's other things happening in my life too. I started playing in a blues and R&B band, kind of when my old band kind of took its course. The 2008 recession hit,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
that took out all these touring bands that we'd meet, that we were touring with, off and on through the Midwest, and my band kind of unofficially disbanded. Um, and so there I was, like, everything I worked so hard for, I felt like was just, you know, it was in ruins. And so I got a gig playing lead guitar for this blues and R&B band, and all these older guys, and it was lots of lessons learned, and it was really cool. That's when I discovered that, it's like, what, all those old cats were just chilling out, and they were just having a good time. It didn't matter. There was no stress, and it was completely about having fun, you know. And because that was one of the things in my old band that was, it was, the music part was the only thing that I loved about it. The other parts were just stress, and so I kind of learned what it was all supposed to be about. and I kind of connected with my blues roots in that band. And and then a friend of mine from over the years, he called me, and he wanted to. He'd heard me play, because sometimes in my old band, we would just play straight up blues, and which I love. That was probably some of my favorite parts of the nights when I'd be on the road in that band. And so anyway, he heard me one night play that, and he's from St. Louis, and he's a big blues fan. So he called me up. He's like, "Hey, I have this idea," and this was right around the time when everything had kind of come to that crossroads kind of thing. And he's like, "I have this idea." He's like, "I want to bring you to St. Louis and hire some session musicians." And he's like, "I think you should put out a blues album, a Hector Anchondo blues album." He's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, I felt like everything had been pulling me that way, and I'm like, yes. So that summer I wrote 30 songs,
Holy crap.
30 blues songs. And then we, narrowed it down to a handful of them and went to St. Louis and recorded.
Wow. And how old were you at that time?
Oh, I was probably, I was about 30. I reached I think I was still in my late 20s. I was in my late 20s.
And that was Kicking Up Dust.
Yep. It was Kicking Up Dust. Kicking Up Dust didn't come out until a few years later, though. It took a few years. So when I released that, I think I was in my early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to St. Louis, you recorded this record. What was after that? You have the big dilemma. You make this thing, you deliver the baby, and then what's next? So what happened? What was next for you?
The thing what was next is I just got to touring. I went back to, that's when I did go to Chicago during that. So right after that, I moved to Chicago because one of the things that was important to me, and I guess this is kind of come full circle now. One of the things that was really important to me is, I've noticed that some people sometimes when they do a genre change, like it can be a little of emotional for like the fan base, and the people that follow you, or even the people around you. I feel like it's hard to make a genre change.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to sound anything other than authentic. So for I think it was over a year, I refused to let myself listen to anything other than blues.
Wow.
I didn't listen to any other genre, and I decided to go to Chicago because I definitely wanted to sound authentic, and I wanted to do the blues genre justice. And since I was going all in.
So how did that thought come in your head? Like, okay, I'm going to move. That's pretty that's commitment, man. That's like going to boot camp almost. You want to join the military, you got to go to do the boot. So how did that cross your mind even?
It crossed my mind because, I'm constant. It's always there. I'm always thinking about it, and back to the crossroads thing, I asked myself, I'm like, cause I was like, all right, I'm approaching my 30s, or I'm in my 30s. I can't remember exactly the point, but I was like, if I'm going to make a change, if there was a time for me to, stop playing music and, ask myself, I'm like, do I need to just get on with it? Am I chasing a lost cause? And I decided I was like, no way. I was like, I can't stop. I was like, I just can't. I was like, I imagined myself living in a world where I wasn't playing music all the time, like I have been for years. And I couldn't see myself I could not picture myself happy. I just couldn't.
Wow.
And I tried. I tried to picture myself happy and I could not. So I was like, I'm going all for it. And I was like, if, you know, and if I'm going to go all in and, you know, and this will be my lifelong career, like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I'm committed, you know, like you know, that's why I made the decision to like only listen to blues and different, I like focused in on different genres and, um, you know, so that I would, you know, have depth as a player and different time frames, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, uh, and, yeah, and then the Chicago thing.
Did you have like
And
family up there, or
I
like
didn't
what?
have any family.
So what did you have kids yourself at the time?
No kids, not at that time.
Okay.
So I was just a single guy
Okay.
and, I wanted to, yeah. So I went out there and, uh, and I got a roommate. I ended up finding a great roommate and actually a really good deal on rent out there for renting a room.
That's great.
And so I got lucky on that. I worked at a Cuban cafe, and I feel blessed to have had that, you know, humbling experience. You know, because you know in 2008, you know, like nobody was hiring, you know,
Dude, that
so
recession was brutal, man.
it was. So I printed out 50 resumes, and I was just walking door to door down the streets of, you know, Chicago, and I came across this Cuban cafe, and I was like, well, you know, I'd been out there for hours just walking down the street and getting turned away. So I walked in there. It looked like a fun place. I walked in there, and it was kind of, I could tell everything was kind of in a um, kind of a chaotic vibe a little
Right.
bit.
That's Cuban Cafe, man.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And part of it was also because the dishwasher hadn't shown up that day with no call, no show. So I
Oh,
talked
awesome.
to, yeah, Corinne, who's we're still friends to this day. I
That's
was like,
cool.
hey, you know, here's my resume. I'm looking for a job. And I could tell that she was actually looking at my resume more so than anybody had. I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is going to happen. And then she was like, all right, here's the deal. My dishwasher is a no call, no show. And before she had a chance to finish, I was like, I can start right now. Like,
Awesome.
show me the kitchen. I will get to it. She's like, right now? I was like, yes, right now. So I right then walked right back to the kitchen and got to work.
Awesome. Are you bilingual?
Uh, I can speak Spanish a little bit, but I'm not fluent. When I was young, I could. When I was a
Right.
little guy, you know.
You're lucky, man.
Um,
That's usually a requirement. So at least in all the Cuban cafes down here, man, it's like you have
yeah,
to be bilingual. Yeah, yeah.
I jumped back into it, and you know, when I was working back in that kitchen, you know, it was, you know, my Spanish would come back to me, and actually my Spanish like really vastly improved
Oh, that's
while I
good.
was working there because I worked there for about a year and a half.
Oh, wow. So that was your bread and butter while you were learning and gigging. And
Yeah, I would go to open jams, and I would go out to there was this guy named Rockin' Johnny. I would go to his shows, and he would get me up for a few songs, and I
very
just,
cool.
yeah, met folks and just try to play as much as possible.
What guitar did you bring with you up there?
Oh, I had my Strat, my Fender Strat, and you know, custom, you know, been with me since I've had it for 20 years now,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah.
Okay, so you go up there. How did you know it was time to leave?
Okay, so it was all okay. So here's how I knew it was time to leave,
Yeah.
because um, so there I was in Chicago, and I was trying to start to get gigs,
Okay.
and that's when I learned how competitive Chicago is. It's extremely competitive. I even, um, you know, I was looking for at least one place to let me play a gig on a Monday night or something. You know, just give me a chance. Nothing. I reached out to different musicians to see if they could hook me up with a gig. Nope. And which was a little different than what I was used to, because I was used to in the Omaha scene, it is a little bit more help each other out. Um,
Yeah.
and with some, in some regard, it is. Uh, and but it was kind of cutthroat in Chicago. So
I think any
um,
major, New York, if you were from
yeah,
Chicago, you might have gotten some shade. But man, when you're an outsider, New York, LA, Chicago, those are probably tough places to.
yeah. But I was fortunate for the experience. I learned a lot from it, and so I even went as far as like, hey, like I reached out to somebody. I was like, hey, because they gigged at all these places. I was like, help me get set up with a gig there. You can take the whole door. Just
Oh,
get me.
wow. You
I
just
was like,
wanted.
the door or the pay. I was like, you can have the pay. Just get me in there, and still wouldn't do it.
Wow.
So at that point, I knew if I moved back, I knew I'd have a better chance getting into Chicago from the outside coming in than I did from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, because I was like, if I stayed in Chicago, I'm like, it's going to be years before I get something rolling, and then also years after that before I can actually have enough money to actually start touring again. So
Yeah.
I can move back to Omaha, um, get a band together, start touring now, you know, and then start getting into Chicago. And that's exactly what happened. Was able to, a few years after that, started, playing. Actually, the only like gig I've got in Chicago is at the is it called the Front Porch stage in the House of Blues?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been to Chicago. I think I might
Oh,
be
okay,
once.
okay.
Yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
Chicago.
there's a blues in the restaurant. There's a blues stage where they have all these blues acts come through, and so I've been playing there for I don't know how many years now. Um, so
But
yeah.
overall, you got a lot out of the experience?
Oh, I did. I
Yeah.
did. I learned a lot about, and I could still even get better about oh, uh, the blues terminology. There's still a lot that I could learn, just like the lingo of it all, as far as like what kinds of shuffles and or styles like to communicate. I learned a lot about that when I was out there. Um, I realized that because somebody would said something to me, um, and they said all they did was look. They looked at me and they're like, a blues Jimmy Reed style, and I was like, I was like, at one, I'm sure Jimmy Reed has played more than one
Can you be a
rhythm.
little more
Eh,
specific? Yeah,
yeah.
man.
And so that's all they said. And I was expected just to go. So I was like, I just did a shuffle. And they, they got really upset with me. I was like, how about you do the rhythm? And then that's all I'll need. And then
Right.
finally got the bassist to do the rhythm. I was like, gotcha. And, but that was a tough lesson learned there.
Yeah. I just want to point out to everybody listening the commitment that you had to do. I mean, that's like you moved across the country, man, for your craft, to study. And it wasn't even formal, to self-study. I give you so much credit for that, man. That's a big chance and a big commitment to make and a big disruption of your own life.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I've always been very committed, and just because I love it. I just love it so much. There was hard decisions I had to make, and so that I could the band, the music, and the career.
No, I totally look. I think every organization needs a leader, so I totally get what you're saying. And I would imagine that's a very common struggle amongst people. Cause like I don't know you, but you're like your vibe is, you are an incredibly nice person. Like you just come across as the guy, like I couldn't ever see you doing something negative or bad, especially at
Yeah,
someone's expense. I mean, you that is crystal clear. And I understand that. And I think when you're in that situation, you do feel bad about doing something, but somebody's got to take accountability, man. And you're right.
Yeah.
You're Hector Anchondo, the artist. Well, who else? It ain't going to be the drummer. Nothing against your drummer, of course. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be you. You're the marquee. So
Yeah. It's like, and it's even like decisions like, okay, we have to leave town at 2:00, kind of thing, kind of like that, which,
yeah.
For some reason, that's always just been such a buzzkill with with bandmates, like, why? Like, why do we have to leave so early? Like, it's like, how many times do I have to explain this? Like, it's not, it's not just for, shits and gigs, it's not just for fun. It's, it's so we can be professionals, and, and that having that, just even that, it's like, it's like, it sucks being the bad guy. Like, okay, we have to leave at this time, but somebody does have to do it.
Yeah. Did you get to the point where you were able to not make it a negotiation? Like, hey man, well, we got to be on the bus. We're in the van at 2, as opposed to, hey, I just want you guys to know, is that okay? Did you get to the point where you could do, it's kind of like being a parent. Like, it's funny because my kids always challenged my wife on things. And I said, babe, that's because you leave it up to negotiate. You like, we can't do this. Okay. No, it's not okay. It's like, this is a no-no. That's it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how, that's not negotiable. Like, no, that's the no is a complete sentence, man, And so did you get to the point where you're comfortable? Okay. So I was saying, have you gotten to the point where you can now sort of like lay down the law without any negotiation?
Yeah, it's really comfortable. It's really comfortable now. And,
Good.
I haven't had to have that kind of, like I became, that position, and I don't even like using the word boss, but I got into that position. Yeah. A leader, because I had to,
Sure.
and, but there's been a few times where I'm like, okay, we're going to meet at 3:00. So cool. And then, but I've had situations where people like, oh, so you're just telling me I have to be there? I'm like, well, can you, like, what, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then that, I had to separate ways from that person, like, it's like,
that's
okay, it's not like that,
No, that's not anybody you need on your team, man. You're trying to build something here. And he's like, oh, we have to be there. Yeah, bitch, we got to be there, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm in a really, really awesome place with all that kind of stuff. And I'm so thankful for that, because it is just a nightmare, like, and it was more of like it was me changing how I approached it and becoming a better leader,
Good.
And, yeah.
That's good, man.
And that stuff's hard to talk about too. Cause it's just like the leader or the, that kind of role. It's just like,
I would bet almost everybody has had that issue. And along those lines, I'm just curious, how come you always, and I give you credit for this, you never even thought about, or it doesn't sound like, becoming a sideman. It's always like, I wanted to do my thing. That's pretty cool. That's, a lot of very courageous, to be honest with you, to think like that.
I just, that's the way I always pictured it. And part of it's, I live for a great challenge. And for me, this is like for my life, this is the ultimate challenge of my life, doing what, family members have told me cannot be done. Like friends along the way, thankfully my mom, she was never like that. She was always been very supportive.
That's great.
And then also thankfully my wife is my mom and my wife are my biggest supporters. My wife, I couldn't do this without her. And, and she's, we've even like, we moved into an RV full time so that I could keep my career going through all of this and cut our costs down, and so I can travel to different places and play. You know?
That's man, that is so cool that she's that supportive. That's really nice. Good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm lucky. You know, otherwise it'd be a lot harder to, you know, keep it all going.
Well, plus you get to see your kids all the time. That's a rarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to it was last year, the beginning of 2019. I was gone for 3 weeks on tour, and they stayed behind, and it just wrecked me. You
Yeah, I'm
know,
sure.
I was starting to think about, I was like, if I have to be away from my family, I don't know if this is worth it, you know? And then I was having that internal battle, like, you know, I was like, I don't want to have that internal battle. Why can't I have my career and my family, you know, which is one of the reasons why I put off having a family for so long, you know, or
Sure.
like even let myself go down that road, because, you know, I didn't want to have to ever make that decision, you know, which, I mean, if it came down to it, I would choose my family for sure. But I mean, I believe there's a way to keep my career going, which is, you know, my passion, you know, my lifelong passion, and have my family with me too, you know,
That's awesome.
and not be apart.
So you guys homeschool the kids?
Yeah, we're planning on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they're not in
So
school age yet. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
God
yep.
bless you. That's
It's, you
tough,
know,
man.
it's gonna be tough. You know, there's gonna have its own uh, uphill struggles, but I
And
think
you
it's gonna
always
be
have
all worth
uphill
it.
struggles with kids.
Totally.
There's no like, just roll, having kids, raising kids is always a struggle, man. Whether you're homeschooling them in an RV or, sending them to local school, there's always challenges, man. So it's
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I
totally.
think too. Like, no matter which way you go, there's gonna be uh, those hardships and struggles for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Meanwhile, you get to come home to your family every day. So that's,
Yep.
you got to look at the positive, and that's great, man. Hey, I want to talk about your new record, Roll the Dice, or your last record. First of all, just to let people know, Hector's a very tasty player. He does a great job riff wise, but it's not about the guitar. He really does a good job serving the song. But I will say, when he wants, he could light it up with the best of them, man, really very well. And even that, it's just done so tasty. It's not like he's shredding, like, hey, let me see how many notes I could fit in. He does a very good job. I was curious, who is your influence for songwriting, if there was one?
You know, part of my influences in the beginning, you know, like in the 90s, um, I feel like in the 90s there was a lot of great songwriting happening. It was more, and in the 90s it was a lot of unique songwriting too. Um, and different, you know, people, I felt like in the 90s were more, and maybe those people are still out there, but it's not as popular now to
Yeah, I think
have
that's it.
such unique qualities in music. I think that is what is it. And because it's, you know, it's all that great stuff, which I think the unique stuff, the stuff that you like, oh, I've never heard anything like that before, this is amazing, you know, that's the best stuff, I think, you know, like something fresh, something different, you know, creatively speaking, or a different new sound, or, you know, that's the best stuff. And it's being overshadowed in today's world of the same, like the same formula on, you know, on the big, you know, top 40 stuff. And um but so I think part of my songwriting came from growing up in the 90s and hearing all that. And you know, and also uh I love, I mean, if it's good music, I love it. But I really so growing up in Salem, Missouri, there's no shortage of country music.
Uh-huh.
And there, you know, whether you like country music or not, there is just some fantastic songwriting in country music.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my some of I would, I mean, before I even became a musician, I would listen to and think about, you know, the sections of the songs, you
Hmm.
know, And thankfully, you know, there's I wish I could remember the guy's name. I can't think of his name right now, but there was an album that I listened to just nonstop, and that's when I started recognizing the patterns of songs and how they, verse and chorus. I didn't even know that they were called verse and chorus back
Sure.
then, but just that kind of thing.
Very cool. I want to talk about a couple of songs I really enjoyed from Roll the Dice. First of all, there's a version of Black Magic Woman on there. Peter Green's song, originally made famous, of course, by Santana. I have to admit, man, when I first saw the song list, I'm like, okay, another remake of Black Magic Woman. But man, I was blown away. I mean, that is the coolest arrangement of that song that I've heard since Carlos Santana's. You got like some flamenco guitar, but you're playing it on electric, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was really
Yep.
cool because you don't normally hear that, right? And everything was just done really different. And you have like a groovy shuffle that really swings. Then you got some blues, and the solo is totally yours, man. It's nothing like I've ever heard. And it's nothing to do with Santana's version of all. And I thought, man, that took a lot of balls to do that song, and you pulled it off really well. So I was just curious, like, what was your inspiration for doing that, and how long had you been thinking of doing that before you actually pulled the trigger?
I do want to say that it was a little nerve-wracking putting that song out
Yeah.
because of that very reason. And also because I was like, I was thinking like, okay, I was sure that a lot of folks were going to think, okay, here's another Santana cover. And then
You heard
also
it
I
so
was
many
like,
times, man. Everybody does
yeah.
Black Magic. I was like, okay.
And then because it was so different, I was like, I hope I don't get some kind of wicked backlash. Like, how dare you? How dare
Oh,
you disgrace this song? And
have you gotten any? I wouldn't imagine you have.
no,
Oh, that
actually,
is.
I've never, which was, I feel great about. And just, things I worry about, which most of the time my worries are, turn out to be non-worries. But I, I just, I love being bold, and I wanted, I love being bold. And even if, I know, and I think that's part of what my worry was, even if it could come crashing back on my to my face, like I just like being bold. And another reason, the reason why that song is what it is today, I've been playing that one since I was 16. That's one of the first songs I learned how to play. It was Black Magic Woman, and it was one of the first songs I played, or one of the songs I played on my first live radio performance back in 98 or 97.
Was it that
um,
arrangement?
it wasn't that arrangement, because it has definitely evolved into what it is today.
I
But
mean,
that
it's such a
song,
good Sorry, I just got to say, it's such a good arrangement. It might as well be its own song. I mean, that is just, that's a
thank you.
tremendous job on that, man.
Thank you. And that reminds me of another thing. I thought what turned this song into what it is today is I've been playing it for so long that I feel like, although, I did not write this song, I feel like it is just a little bit mine because I've just been playing it for so long, just
Yeah.
that feeling,
Yeah, well, that
So
comes across in the music, man. It's phenomenal. I was not expecting that at all. I mean, totally caught me off guard, and every section of it was great. And there's different sort of styles in there. He did a great job putting them together, which is not easy at all, as you know.
thank you.
You're welcome. You have a song in there really cool called "Here's to Me Giving Up," and I thought that was such a perfect song for a final track. It's a real pretty song, but I was curious what the title refers to.
Yeah, it's here's to me giving up on that relationship, because like as a younger man, like whenever a relationship didn't work out, you know,
Uh,
go to the bars with buddies, and like kind of like here's to me, like cheers, like a
yeah,
cheers kind of
okay.
thing.
Very
Here's
cool.
to me giving up, let's celebrate.
That's good, man. That's cool. Really good song. Because I was wondering, like, man, this guy don't seem like a quitter with anything. So I knew it wasn't hadn't to do with quitting. That's why I was curious what it was. Great song, man, and it's a
Yeah,
great final track, which is cool. Any plans for new records moving forward?
In lieu of the pandemic and winning the International Blues Challenge as a solo artist in the solo category, I'm going to put out a solo album. It's going to be acoustic based
Cool.
album, and it's going to have a lot of my songwriting on it. Well, it's going to be all my songwriting, but my songwriting from over the years too. There's songs that I've written years ago that I've never got a chance to record and put out there. So I'm pretty excited.
When is that coming out? Do you know?
I'm shooting for the fall. So
very cool, man. Any working titles yet?
I had some when I was thinking about when I was going to be a band album, but now I'm just like, now since it's gonna be a solo album, I'm kind of like, now I'm like trying to figure out the title.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I get it. Totally different vibe.
It might be, I might name it after one of the songs, which is called "Let Loose Those Chains," and it's a song that actually it's the only time this ever happened to me, but it came to me in a dream.
Really?
The lyrics and all that. Yeah.
Let loose those chains.
Yeah.
We all need to do that, man.
Yep.
Hey, let's talk about gear. Well, I look forward to the record coming out, man. I wish you a lot of luck finishing it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's talk about gear for a few minutes. You said that you have your Strat. Is that your primary guitar, your go-to?
It was for a long time, and I still take it with me everywhere. I was fortunately I met Mike Delaney at I think it was in the 2016 IBCs. So I've become endorsed by Delaney Guitars.
Cool.
So his I think it's the Sonoma Delaney.
Mm-hmm.
I might be. Hopefully, I don't have the name of it wrong. But that's my primary guitar right now.
Where is he out of? Is he in the Midwest or is he out in California? Or?
He's out of. He's near the Austin, Texas area. He's in around there. Very
cool. For some reason, I thought you were in Austin. I don't know why.
Yeah.
What's number two? It is a lot of guys, a lot of musicians down there. So the Delaney Sonoma is your number one. What would be your number two?
I'd say I would say my Strat. I really love my Strat.
It's a custom.
And, it's a custom. Well, a custom. I've upgraded it, and I even engraved it myself. So the artwork on it was and then that was nerve-wracking. But I thought about it for a couple of years before I did it, so I wasn't too afraid. But the engraving is something I did, and
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
And what do you write on? Do you tend to write on electrics or acoustics?
Both. I'd say both. It just depends.
Very cool.
What I'm playing at the time. And sometimes I write without even a guitar at all, because I do some of my best writing while I'm driving down the highway.
Okay. So you just record it into a?
Yeah, I think about, because I can always put guitar to it later, and I come up with sometimes I come up with a good title, and I'll have my wife text. I'm like, hey, text this to me. I had to do that with me yesterday. And then, or if I come up with some great lyrics, I've written songs before, just, having all the lyrics just then and saying it in the memo recorder and the melodies and stuff like that too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's funny, man. I'm always having my wife, hey honey, can you email me this so I don't forget?
Yeah. Awesome.
Do you remember the first, for you, is probably a CD that you ever purchased? No, it was a cassette tape maybe. What was the first media you bought?
Oh, shoot.
Was it vinyl or was it cassette?
It was cassette.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't remember the first cassette, but I do remember one of my first CDs. It was Stevie Ray Vaughan's Greatest Hits, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That one, and several Santana albums, in the CDs, I think I know I purchased cassettes, but I can't remember any exact ones. I remember the CDs more.
Yeah. It's funny. I was kind of like in that generation. We went from vinyl. I didn't go 8-track. I didn't have cassettes. I recorded cassettes, like I'd listen to radio and record, but then I went straight to CDs. It was weird. I don't know why.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Give me your top 3 Desert Island discs, man. No particular order, just for right now.
I can't remember the name of Anders Osborne's acoustic album. Oh geez, I can't remember the name of it right now. That album's incredible. Anders Osborne's incredible.
He's a guy from Canada, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I think he might originally he originally came from there, but he lives in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
In New Orleans.
No, you know what? No, he's a New Orleans guy. You're right.
Yeah, but he was born somewhere. I can't remember exactly where he was, where he and his family are from.
Okay.
Something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And
I'm trying to think, who did I run into that played with him? Might have been Eric Johansson or somebody else in New Orleans that I spoke with, had played with him for a little bit. And it might have been, or what's his name? The guy, he has a record company, Tab Benoit. Maybe it was him.
Oh, Tab Benoit, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Anders Osborne.
Yeah, he's a great songwriter. Yeah, Anders Osborne. Let's see. Oh shoot, this is a tough one.
Oh, it's terrible.
I'd say Jerry Douglas.
Oh wow, that's stuff I wasn't expecting. Are you like a big blue? Well, you said you're influenced by country, so you're just interested by good picking.
Totally, yeah, totally. And my first live bands I ever saw were bluegrass bands growing up.
Yeah, man, that is tough music to play, man.
Yeah,
really tough.
I love it. It is tough and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Anders Osborne, Jerry Douglas, what else?
Oh, let's see. Maybe some Danny Gatton.
Fair enough, man.
And I know it's like I know that's like not really blues so much, but I love playing the blues, and I love playing, being a blues artist. But I love music in general.
Yeah, man, good music is good music,
Yeah, totally.
All right, tell me what do you think the best decision you ever made was?
The best decision I ever made. Asking my wife out.
There you go, man. Right on. So you play this back for her for sure, man.
Yep.
Another tough one. Tell me, what's the most important things that you've learned about yourself?
Oh man, I've learned so many things. I would say that I just cannot. One of the most important things, I just cannot give up. I can't. I don't have it in me to tap out or give up, and I just can't do it.
That's awesome.
I love, and I'm referring to music, of course. I just love it. It's in my heart and my soul, and I just can never give up on it.
That's awesome, man. And I'm sure you're never gonna have to, especially with this win under your belt, man, and all the good things you got going on. Best childhood memory.
I'd say my best childhood memory was sitting in the back of the house, way back away, where I wouldn't bother anybody about all the sound that I made, or trying to make, and just playing and practicing, from the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed.
Was it hard to break away living on a farm? Because that's a busy.
It wasn't hard to break away. Although, it was hard to leave friends. I'd say the hardest thing was getting used to the different lifestyle of the city, because even the social dynamics are different.
Yeah.
The pace, the lifestyle pace is different. So I'd say that was the most challenging part.
What was any funny stories about that time? Like something that like now today you take for granted, but like when you first moved to the city, it was kind of an
Um,
adjustment.
oh, I think maybe the communication style, because it's just uh being I'm not really sure. I'd say let me think about that one for a second. Um, I think the thing that I would talk about, like, oh man, like I had so much fun doing this, like down here, you just go, one of the big things we do down here in Salem is like go to the river and you hang out and you have
Yeah.
fun, you swim in that water and, like, and I remember I would talk about that and I would get, from, family and people that grew up in the city and they're like, what? Like you went down to the river, because I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a blast, man.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
That's funny, man.
yeah,
That is interesting. Hey, if you're
yeah,
comfortable, I saw that your tattoo there. It's like a big compass.
yeah.
What does that
I am
represent?
comfortable talking about
If you're comfortable,
it's.
yeah,
Yeah, it's every direction's north
yeah.
on the compass, and for me, this goes back to music again and trusting in my path, and as long as I follow my love of music, no matter what direction I go, it's gonna be the right way.
So you're always headed towards your North Star.
Yes.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that, man. That's very cool. Uh, most important thing your dad taught you.
Um. Well, this is kind of the most important thing he taught me because he wasn't really in my life.
Or taught you
Was
not to do. You could say that too.
exactly. Uh, Taught me to never abandon my children.
Show up for your kids. Right on, man. I feel you on that. Good for you. And you know what, man? That's a big thing, breaking the cycle of that, man. So pat on the back to you and for being smart enough to be aware of that. How about your mom? Most important thing she taught you.
Oh, she taught me um whew, negotiating because everything was a negotiation with her, and so I had to get clever. I had
That's
to get
good.
clever to talk her into things.
That's
I had to get
good,
very
man.
clever.
That's good. Do you have any hobbies outside of music, Hector?
I do. I love art, just arts in general. Um, I my I love working with charcoal.
Oh,
So
really?
doing charcoal drawings and and yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I find
And
drawing is very relaxing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. Oh yeah, it is. It is relaxing. And I'd say I also cooking. I love cooking and like the spices. I often think. Well, I always think about it as either painting a canvas or creating a beautiful melody
Yeah.
with how you can work spices and to create something. You know.
Number one hobby for musicians, cooking. For sure.
Really
Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
by far, that's the number one
That's
hobby.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I haven't had every musician on, but I've had
Uh huh.
750 on. So I can
Yeah.
confidently say that's a pretty good population.
That's cool. That's cool.
Two more questions, man. Toughest decision you ever had to make or most difficult thing you've had to do?
Hmm. I'd say the most difficult thing I had to do. Um, oh man, I'd say so. My old band, uh, my cousin and I were real close and real tight. And he was the rhythm guitarist in that band. And the hardest thing I had to do because he stopped playing music, and I think that I think he expected me to do the same thing, because we were the best of bros.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing for me to do was to make decisions, just move on without him.
Yeah, that's
And
tough.
because we were two of a kind, and like in that my old band, like we were both the face of the band together.
Sure.
And so it was very challenging because I had to rediscover who I was on stage
Yeah.
and redefine who I was on stage without him. So that was definitely one of the toughest things I've ever had to do in my music journey.
Yeah, man. Well, I can tell you just from listening to the last album, you found yourself. So
Cool.
it
Thank you.
worked, man. Uh,
Thanks.
and you're welcome. And then the last question is, biggest change in your personality over the last 5 to 8 years, and
Um,
how much? Hold on a second. How much of that change has been intentional, and how much has been a natural part of aging?
ooh, okay. Definitely my level of anxiety, because I would just be,
Oh, that's
I'd be,
great.
because I used to be very, very, very nervous about what how people would perceive the music, because care, I cared and still care very, very deeply how it affects the audience and the listener. And so I would just make myself sick being worried that, you know, not only would somebody not going to like it, but maybe it would make them feel bad instead of good, you know? And, uh,
Yeah, I don't think. I
but
mean, for whatever it's worth, I don't think that'll. I don't think they may not like it because people don't like, but I don't think it could make people feel bad.
yeah, and that's when I started over the years. I mellowed out on that
Good.
and trusted my songwriting and trusted my playing, and stopped worrying. And then also I realized, not everybody's going to like it, and that's okay. You
Yep.
know, there's some not going to like it, and that's, but you know, they don't have to listen to
Yeah,
it.
man. There's plenty of other stuff to listen to, man. Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you, man. That was a really cool answer. Do you ever tour down here in Florida? Have you played Florida at all?
Yeah, I've been playing Florida off and on for a handful of years now, and actually, um, the plan is this year, like late October, well, in November, I've got some shows booked down there.
Where?
Um,
Anything here in Tampa
uh,
area?
Not yet, I don't think, but there will be, because my sister lives in Bradenton, and
Oh, yeah.
and I
That's an hour south of here, literally.
and I and I think that's the area we're going to be posting up, because we live full time in the RV, so we're going to work
Yeah.
our way down there, and then I'm just going to stay in Florida all winter long and gig.
Oh, cool. Dude, play
So
Skippers. It's a
okay,
great outdoor. See if you can play that because it's a great place for.
okay,
There's tons of blues acts come here. Yeah, loads of them. That'd be awesome.
cool,
I would love to see you play. That'd be very cool. I'm going to look forward to
right
that, man.
on.
I'm glad
That
to
would be
hear that.
rad.
Hey, let me tell people where to find you. First of all, thank you very much, man. I got to tell you again,
Thank you.
everybody listen, this guy has the nicest, sunniest disposition. He's just like really positive, and besides being a great guitar player and a great songwriter, he's just a good person. So he's a guy worthwhile supporting. I'd love you to check his music out. It's Hector Anchondo, Anchondo. Go to his website at hectoranchondo.com. Last two records, Roll the Dice, his most recent one. Great record, man. Sound like Barbara Walters. Great record. And Young Guns is the one before that. He's on Facebook. You could find him, Hector Anchondo Band. On Instagram, follow him, Hector Anchondo Band. On Twitter, he's Hector Anchondo. And let's go on a mission, man. He's trying to get his YouTube channel up. It's Anchondo TV, again, Anchondo TV. Just look up Hector Anchondo and subscribe to his channel. Let's get him up there over 1,000 subscribers. And man, anything else that you'd like to promote, or anything else you want to say, or anything like that?
Oh, just you know, let's keep live music alive.
Absolutely, man. Man, thank you very much, Hector. I really appreciate it. Hold on one second. I'll wrap up with you. And thank you for your time, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck. You'll be on here again. I'm
Thank
pretty
you.
sure of that.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels with your friends. Please check out Hector Anchondo's music. Again, it's Anchondo, and listen to his last record, Roll the Dice. It's a phenomenal record, man. If you don't have time for anything, just listen to Black Magic Woman. What an arrangement of that song. One of the best I've ever heard. And thanks to Hector for spending time with us. And most important, man, especially nowadays, please remember that happiness really is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Hector, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.